guys, and welcome to today's video. So today I'm going to be doing my monthly faves and flops. This will be my October 2021 favorites, least favorites, the best and worst products that I have been playing with throughout the month. So if you're interested in seeing what I've loved and not so much loved, then keep on watching. So one of the first collections that I tested in October was the new MAC Haute Couture collection by MAC and starring Rosalia, who is a Spanish singer. So I reviewed the whole collection pretty much, I think for the most part, aside from a few items, like the main things I reviewed, and I'm going to be sharing the few things that I really fell in love with. So the first product is the Face Quad. This is a product that is fairly high priced. It's a steep price. So I definitely was very critical of the product, I wanted to really test these quite a few times before I, came on here and said this is absolutely worth the purchase. This palette is definitely worth the purchase in my opinion because number one, you get a variety of products. It's not just a highlight palette. It's not just a bronzer palette. It's not just a blush palette. It is a product that contains two highlights, well, technically three highlights. So three highlights and a blush. For fair skin tones like myself, I definitely found that these two were highlights. This one was a more, very dewy, glowy bronzer, and then this was a blush. So it was almost like a full face palette, full cheek palette, sorry. A number one packaging I do think is absolutely stunning, and then a good size mirror in there as well. I really like the variety of shades. You get this, it almost looks yellow kind of on the pan and even on my finger. But when you actually swatch it, it's a really beautiful gold. It does have that really nice bright yellow undertone, but even on my skin tone, which typically yellow golds don't look good on me, it has enough champagne in there. It's not super deep yellow or really warm yellow. It still has a nice iciness to it that it's not too warm. It's still on the more warm golden side, but it's not too golden. So in my personal opinion and just for my skin tone, it was really beautiful. Then you get this kind of more rosy champagne-y shade right here. This is just absolutely stunning as well. As you can see, the more rosy tones under there. Really love the shades. The formula is creamy, lightweight, that really wet look. You can see it on my cheeks. It's not in your face, super intense, too much. It's very versatile. You can apply a little bit and it looks really nice as a natural highlight, and you can also apply a lot and build it, and it really does look absolutely stunning. Also the size of the pans, you get quite a bit of product in here. The blush, again, stunning. Love the shade. It's a little bit on the warmer side, but again, it's not too warm. I feel like this is a very neutral palette, and I actually typically mix these two. That's what I'm wearing today. The two highlights mixed, and they mix really well too. I'll show you actually. I'll mix them. See how it's kind of golden, but you do see that rosiness to it. It's really pretty. And then this blush is kind of a peachy pink, but not too peachy. It is a really beautiful, kind of more neutral pink, but I do wear this frequently as blush. It is that kind of glowy blush. It has a sheen to it, as you can see, but it's not too shimmery. It's not glittery. It just almost gives you that healthy glow, and it blends into your highlight, and it looks just like you are so hydrated and glowy and really stunning. And for my medium to darker skin toned viewers, this definitely would probably pass as another highlight, probably be a more suitable highlight. So I personally think that these could probably be wearable by a lot of skin tones, especially if you're, not going too heavy with it, but you could also mix them with this darker one to kind of get make them a little bit darker, if you know what I mean. Or you could just use this bronze highlight and you could probably get away with that as a highlight as well. So I like that they've included a highlight for kind of all skin tones, but then also for the fair skin tones, I personally think it's still usable as a bronzer. So it's not too shimmery. It's definitely a highlight. It has that light reflective property to it, but I've used it even on my forehead and on my cheekbones a little bit. I prefer it up on the forehead because I feel like I typically highlight like right above my brow anyways. So it kind of just blends into everything, and it's honestly a really beautiful bronzer if you like a more glowy bronzer. It is limited edition, so I recommend if you're interested to go ahead and jump on that. If you don't already have a face palette like this or you're looking for another one, I would grab it. The next product I absolutely fell in love with from the collection is one of the lipsticks. This is the matte lipstick in the shade Nuez Mascada. I am wearing it right now. It's perfect for fall, and I just really love the tone of it. So it's like it's described as a cool pink nude. I personally think it's more neutral than cool. It's not super mauve. It's not super like cool toned, but it's definitely not warm toned by any means either. It's a good kind of neutral nude, and it has some pink in it, but it does have a little bit more of that kind of like dustiness to it. So that's why I really think it's beautiful for fall. Love the matte formula by MAC, one of my absolute favorite formulas in terms of lipstick, like in general. It's pigmented, it's easy to apply, and it wears a really, good amount of time for just a regular lipstick, and the shade is stunning. Let's continue with down the MAC road, and let's talk about the holiday collection. My favorite product from the collection that I tested, probably one of my favorite products that I have reviewed this month in general. Like, it probably gets #1 because it's that good, and that is the Shadeshifter Duochrome eyeshadow. This is in the shade Hocus, which is a green duochrome. This is just magical, guys. You get like green, but then you also get almost like a tealy blue. It's just one of the most beautiful duochromes. It's pigmented, it's creamy, it's lightweight, it's glittery, but it's not chunky. It's super finely milled, like smooth on the eye, and it's just to die for. Like, do you see this? Do I even need to say much more? Definitely recommend these eyeshadows. Definitely think that they are the star of the show, in my opinion, from what I've tested from the collection. And I really think I may eventually, before they're discontinued, I probably am going to purchase more of these, because these are just perfect to have as like those shades that you do a quick eye like crease with something else that you have in your collection. And then you're looking for something to like make it bam. And you grab this and you have bam. You just have that bam. I would add it, but I don't really think it goes with my eye look today. Definitely makes me want to wear more green. And it's so pretty. Like, I can't get over it. This is like Pat McGrath level. So good. It's just, I can't get over it. The next product that I fell in love with was from a holiday collection, and that is by Pat McGrath. So this is the new Mega Celestial Odyssey palette. This is their new holiday palette. This is actually a more affordable option, and you get more eyeshadow. Like, there's so many things that I could rave about it. #1, as I said, you get more eyeshadow. It's cheaper, and this year, actually, the packaging was even better. Like last year, obviously, you could tell that the packaging was cheaper, but I was like, who cares? We're getting Pat McGrath eyeshadow for a more reasonable price, so I'm not complaining. But this year, they've definitely stepped up the packaging. It's thicker, chunkier, not in a bad way. Like, it's like sturdier is a better way to word it. Even just right here, you're getting that like plastic. Then the actual palette's just stunning. I really enjoy this palette. #1, because the metallics are definitely at or above par for Pat McGrath. Her metallics are just next level, as I just was mentioning. Let's take a look at this teal here. I still have yet to use this shade, but I swatch it almost every time I use this palette. Like, look at that. That's just like a regular metallic. Look at how stunning that teal is. You have like darker, smokier shades. This is the black with like a multi-color glitter. Super creamy. Like, these are all some nice metallics, obviously excluding the one in the middle, which is the MAC. But then you also have some really everyday shades. You have those pops of fun, those pops of color, the deep and the dark. You get a nice neutral chocolatey brown, but then you also get some really soft shades. You get a soft brown, a soft like rosy shade, a more soft like kind of warmer toned pink. And then you also get some like everyday metallics that are still bam, that are still like absolutely stunning, but are more everyday, you know, like a bronze. This one's a little more duochrome. You can see a little, I don't know if you guys are gonna see it. Like you can see it's bronze, but then it kind of has like a pink shift. So you get the nice duochromes, the beautiful metallics, but then you get those softer mattes. And I feel like it's just a more everyday palette, enough softer shades that I could see myself grabbing it for just an everyday look, which not a lot of Pat McGrath's palettes I've done. Like they're typically the ones I go for when I'm looking for smoky, bold, deep, bright, but this palette is not only that, but also everyday. And I think that it makes it that much more valuable. I also absolutely love the face palette from the collection. You get 2 of her Divine blushes and 1 of her highlights. So number 1, I love the Divine blushes. They're already a favorite of mine. This is for the lighter skin tone, this palette. You get there's 2 different options. So you get a nice like cool toned pink, and then you get a kind of warmer tone, like peachy blush. And then the highlight is kind of like a golden highlight. It has a bit of like a peachiness to it. I don't know, it's hard to describe. I've never really seen a highlight like it. And it's not like in your face bright, but when you actually apply it, it's like one of those highlights where you might not even really tell you have highlight on, but then you turn your face and it hits the light and it's like, bam, like opening a ring box. Like you don't really see it, and then you tilt your head into the light and it's like whoosh, which is kind of really the effect you want to go for, especially for every day. The highlight's absolutely stunning. The blushes are so lightweight, undetectable. Like it's almost like they look like they're cream blush, and that is what I'm wearing today. I'm wearing the warmer toned blush, and it's super buildable, but it's also like not too pigmented, and they look like they're cream, but they're easy like powder. It's honestly definitely worth the purchase in my mind. And I'm super excited to have it in my collection. Recently, I have tested the brand Merit, and I honestly have really fallen in love with a lot of their products. They kindly gifted me their whole entire line, a product, like 1 of each product, and I've thoroughly tested them. If you want to see my whole first impression, I talk about the brand, I talk about all the products. You see my application, I do a wear test. I recommend checking it out. This is a brand that's super clean and it's EU compliant, so you know what's going on your skin is good for you. This brand is one you can know is safe. So the first product I've really fallen in love with, which I actually didn't leave that video thinking this would be in today's video, but it really truly is a product I've used day in and day out. Almost every time I've done an everyday quick 5-minute makeup, this is the one I go for. It is the complexion stick. It is the one I can just swipe on my face, and especially in unison with the brush. That is, I'll show a picture here because I forgot it upstairs, because it is just so seamless and easy. Especially the 2 products together just work so well together. This is super lightweight, super hydrating to the skin without looking super like heavy or dewy, but it just is that just enough hydration. It doesn't hold up with my oily skin as well as some of my favorites, but this is the one I go for when I need quick, like let's say I'm like, you know, I'm not gonna wear makeup today. And then I'm like, you know what? I broke out and I feel gross and I just want a little bit of makeup. I grab this, I swipe it on my face, I blend it in with the brush, you know, maybe a little bronzer, some mascara and brow gel, and I'm out the door. This is so simple, so easy. It adds just enough coverage to really blur the skin, really minimize redness. You know, you can build it to a good medium coverage, but if you're going for like a quick, it's so perfect for like those easy days, the minimal product that's really just gonna make you feel good about your skin without like completely covering it up. And I think this is very true to what the brand stands for, and I personally love it. I definitely love a good full coverage foundation, but this one, the one I go for on those days where I'm just a mom who doesn't have time to do her makeup but wants to still go run some errands and not look like she just got out of bed, you know? The next product I really love is the cream blush. This is not only good for those everyday looks, but it's also good for those glam looks. Like it's very sheer, so that you can just apply a tiny bit, blend it in with your finger, it's good to go. But you can also build it, And it does look like a more pigmented blush. It works on top of more full coverage foundations. It works on top of like this foundation. It's beautiful color. This is in the shade Cheeky, which is like a cool toned pink. And where am I even gonna show you? See how it's like super, 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 super pigmented, but it like blends out like an absolute dream. It doesn't emphasize texture. It doesn't remove any coverage. You can use it underneath powder and it still pokes through, but you can also use it over top of powder and it doesn't break down the foundation. I personally prefer using it over top because I find it lasts longer. I feel like it really grips onto the powder and it doesn't go anywhere. And then the next product is the highlighting balm. I don't typically love products like this, but this one is so good. So this is like that kind of like wet look. It doesn't really look super, super like highlighty, if that makes sense. It doesn't look super like shimmery, glowy. It's very like your skin just is naturally balmy and dewy and super hydrated, and you just turn your head and it looks like you just have the most beautiful sheen on your face. It's so easy. It works on top of powder even, which is very hard for me to find a cream or liquid highlight to do that. And I personally like to apply highlight after powder. So this one is very safe to use on top. Obviously you have to be somewhat careful, but I have never had it break down my foundation. And it also actually does poke through a little bit from the powder as well. So if you want to go over top with powder so it doesn't feel balmy, like if you're super oily, you can put a little bit of powder over top and it will still shine through. I also really, really love the mascara. I didn't want to include this many products in my faves again, but I really, really love the mascara as well because it's just, number one, it's clean, so you know it's good for you. Number two, it is very natural, but you can build it to actually be quite lengthening. And that's what I love about it. It's very lengthening to the lashes. It's a tubing mascara, so you know that it's gonna be not smudging, transferring. I find that it's very budge proof. It is a little bit, it's not the easiest to remove compared to some of my other tubing mascaras, but that's in a sense good because it's not gonna like flake off or transfer. It's super long wearing, it's really lengthening, it's clean, and I really enjoy it. I honestly really, really like the mascara as well. So now that we've talked so much good product, let's get to the flop of the month. This isn't like the worst thing I've ever tested. It's not a complete and utter fail in the sense that like everything about it sucks. It's just that it's not worth the money to me. And that is the MAC holiday palette, the large one. Unfortunately, I really just don't think it's worth the money. If you watch my video, you'll understand why. So I did two different looks. I first started with these greens and they were good. The green was really pigmented and buildable and blendable. The browns, the soft browns were beautiful, and I loved everything that was going on in this section right here. The greens, as I said, the gold, the browns. I really love the everyday variety there, and I found that those were really pigmented, blendable, really beautiful shades. The green look turned out fantastic, especially once I applied this on top. But then I did like a blue purple eye, and every single shade that I tried pretty much on this blue purple side was a complete fail. This one here, one of the worst purple eyeshadows I've ever used. It doesn't build. It's like the kind of eyeshadow you blend and then you blend and then you're building it and then you're blending it, and it's just constantly fading. You cannot really get it very pigmented. Even this one here, I tried, same thing. You really can't get it super rich. The blue was a little bit better, but to be fair, it really wasn't that much better. And even though it was a little better, even to get it to that point, it just was more effort than should be needed. The metallics on the blue and purple side were okay. I'll be fair. There's some really, really pretty metallics in here. And now that I have this palette, like I'm sure I'm gonna use it for, number one, to get my money's worth, but also because there are some good shades in there. But to be honest, this is like $100 Canadian, and I'm sorry, but if half of the palette you can't use because it sucks, or almost half, then it's not worth it. Like there may be some really beautiful shades in there, but there's also palettes like the Pat McGrath that aren't much more than that. And every single shade through and through was pigmented, blendable, you know, buildable, super stunning. The whole thing is not a fail, but to me, I personally would pass on this. I would grab something else from MAC. This is not it, unfortunately, and I was really disappointed, but that is the unfortunate truth. So that is my October faves and flops. I hope you guys enjoyed and found this video helpful. I hope you guys are having a wonderful October. I hope you guys had a wonderful Halloween. So if you did enjoy, give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and have a wonderful day. Thanks so much, guys. Bye.